Rob with CQRC Bigs here. So, you want to build a cigar box guitar, but you don't know what materials and tools that you would need in order to build one of these fine instruments. Stay tuned. I'm fixing to tell you about some. So you want to make a cigar box guitar, and you don't want to use a kit. I know in my last video we talked about having some fun with kits and how using kits are a great way to get started. But maybe you're thinking, well, I want to do something from scratch. So what kind of things do I need? Well, whether you're going to build an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, first thing you're going to need is a body. Now, by a body, what do you mean? Well, good question. Glad you asked. So a body, we're talking about cigar boxes. So you get your cigar box about like this. You want something that's usually about 9 inches tall, from top to bottom there. Probably something about 7, 8 inches wide, and usually anywhere from an inch and a half or deeper. Inch and a half, 2 inches really makes for good electric guitars, and then you want to get a little deeper with an acoustic guitar. I find that 3 inches or 3.5 inches tends to work real well. But you say, okay, I'm not in cigar boxes. I don't want to endorse tobacco. I can't find cigar boxes in my area. All the cigar boxes I find, they're just kind of don't do anything for me. So you can go to places like Walmart, Home Depot, or not Home Depot, but Hobby Lobby, some of those places, and you can get these little craft boxes, right? These boxes are actually pretty good. This one is, let me get my handy dandy ruler out here. This one's actually, looks like it's a little more than an inch and a half deep. Now, like I said, inch and a half makes for great electric guitars. You can do acoustic with these too. It's not bad. And if you tap on this, you can tell it probably has some decent acoustic properties. So little craft boxes like this, and some of the ones that you can get, they have like beveled corners or beveled edges, right? A little bit more decorative. I find those a little harder to work with when mounting necks or corner pieces or whatnot, but still, it's like kind of whatever floats your boat, right? It can be done. I've built boxes with beveled edges or built guitars with beveled edges and beveled corners. So it's not a bad thing, not a hard thing. Something else you can use that I see a lot of people using, cookie tins and tea tins like this. This one's a little on the shorter side, but it would work. But who says you got to use a box, right? Some people, they get like these F-style cans, or these. This is a can of wipe-on poly, but some people, they'll, when they get finished using whatever is in the can, they'll put a necker on this. One this small makes for like a great little diddly bow, a little one string. But you can get those cans in larger sizes, and those make for good bodies. But then, besides a body, you're going to have wood for a neck. Now, what I recommend is these boards. You can get them at Home Depot. You can get them at Lowe's. Oak and poplar, other hardwoods, right? This is actually, it's a 1x2, but it's 3/4 inches thick by 1.5 inches wide. All right. And you can get these in 3 foot, 4 foot lengths, 2 foot lengths. I recommend at least a 3 foot length. That way you've got room to cut down. For headstock material, I recommend getting the 1/2 inch thick board. This one happens to be poplar. That last board was oak. But you can, because then you can cut these down and you can put a scarf joint, and I've not cut this obviously, but you can cut a scarf joint, right, and get you a little back angle for your headstock. Half inch is really kind of half inch to 5/8 inch thick is kind of what you want when you're mounting your tuners. More on that in a second. But then you want, if you're going to put a fretboard, you want some wood for a fretboard. I like these little 1/4 inch pieces. Again, this one's poplar, but you can get them in oak and different materials or different woods. And the big box stores carry those commonly, but some of your other stores as well. Maybe you want to do something a little different since you're at Lowe's anyway, right? Get you one of these yardsticks. This is one I've cut down, but Del Puckett did a video on this some time back. He took one of these Lowe's yardsticks, stained it up, made a fretboard out of it, gave the guitar kind of this nice homemade look, which was really pretty cool. So again, whether acoustic or electric, those are the absolute basic things you're going to need as far as materials go. Now, if you'll also need, parts wise, you'll need some strings. These are MGB strings, but CB Getty sells strings. You can get the Darios, Martins, whatever. You can even put nylon strings on it, right? I mean, nothing against that. Maybe you want a nice little acoustic or classical sound to it, right? So yeah, and again, as far as materials minimum, those are the materials that you're going to need. Now, if you start talking about, you're going to need some tuners, right? Again, this actually acoustic, electric, doesn't matter. You're going to need some tuners. You can get these from MGB. You can get tuners from CB Getty, from other vendors. Get on Amazon, right? But anyway, so then you're going to need something to use as a nut and something to use as a bridge. Now, what I like to use are these little threaded bolts here. The thicker one there, those I find make for great bridges. But then you have these skinnier ones here, which I find make for a great nut. All right. But you can use little blocks of wood. I've seen people use fret wire and a little block of wood, make a bridge out of that. There's different things you can do. Nothing says that you absolutely have to use a threaded bolt for that. Then you're going to want some way to anchor your strings, right? These little hinges here. This one, again, happens to come from MGB, but you can get little hinges like this, like brass ones at Home Depot and Lowe's. You can get them at craft stores. Yeah, I mean, you want some way to anchor it. Now, if you run the neck all the way through the body, kind of show you what I'm talking about here. I'll just use this 1/4 inch here, but if you run the neck all the way through the body, then you could use the tail end of that and anchor your strings down there. That's one way of doing it. Let's see. Let's talk about material for a minute, right? So, and again, whether you're doing acoustic, electric, fretted, non-fretted, you're gonna want some sandpaper, right? Various grits. I like this pack here from Lowe's because it goes from 80 grit to 120, 180, 240 down to 400. So start out rough for removing material, and then it gets it all the way down to a nice fine finish. You're going to want some cloths like this. These microfiber cloths are good for wiping away sanding dust and such. You're going to want masking tape, right? Because you're going to want to mask off that box. You're going to have to put markings on it. So again, get your good pencil. So you mask it off. You can protect the artwork that way. And then You may also want some kind of a stain, kind of like this. Um, you know, maybe you want to paint it, so get you some craft paint. You're going to need some wood glue because somewhere along the line you're going to have to glue something together, right? So this Gorilla Glue here works real well, but Titebond E6500 super glue also is what I would call a necessity. And again, whether electric, acoustic, doesn't matter. These are things that you need. Uh, you're going to need a measuring device. I like this little ruler here because it has a center finder at the top, but it's a regular ruler at the bottom. And then it's sturdy enough I can use it as a straight edge. So when I am finding my center and I draw my line down the center, now some things that you might also want to consider. A clear coat like that Wipe On Poly that I just showed you in that can. There's different, you can get the spray on, you can get the wipe on, whatever. Different things you can do there. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a requirement, but it's probably a good idea. And then if you're going to electrify the guitar, you will need some means of doing that. Easiest means is probably to get you a little piezo disc here. You can get these on Amazon. You can get them from the vendors as well. Or you might even be able to pull one out of an old watch or an old alarm clock or something. But these has a couple of leads on it. One to the hot piece and one to the body there for a ground, and you just match the leads to the hot and the ground on a jack. Drill you a little hole in the box, and then you can actually use hot glue to glue that piezo into the lid. So that's probably the simplest way to electrify the guitar. Or you can get you a magnetic pickup like this, right? This is a little flat pup from MGB. You can get regular magnetic pups like humbuckers and stuff like that. There's all kinds of them out there. But if you are going to electrify, you probably need some controls like some volume and tone pots there. This little bag has a wiring harness. This one's actually got a three-way switch in it. That you see that there, the tip of it there, that you can use for mounting two pickups, right? And then some little zip ties like this to kind of control your wires. Maybe you want some decorative pieces, right? Or maybe the box doesn't have a hinged lid. So you can get you packs like this. I got this off of Amazon. It's got hinges. It's got clasps in it, right? So if you want to kind of decorate it a little bit, or even just the practical use of being able to open and close the lid, then you might also want some kind of like a sound hole cover, right? This particular one here is from MGB, but you don't have to get anything like that. Get you some grommets like this, right? These are grommets like you might find on a shower curtain or a piece of canvas or something like that. They're 1 inch. This happen to be antique brass, but you can get them in gold, silver, black, whatever. You could also get you some corner pieces like this, right? Now, these corner pieces serve a couple of purposes. They not only make the box kind of look a little bit more finished, but they also protect the corners from, like if you drop the box, you won't smash the corner in. And then sometimes too, they can also aid in securing the box lid closed. So you might maybe you want some strap buttons, right? Again, you can get strap buttons like this, or I like to actually use these little eye hooks here, right? Again, it gives it a little bit more of a homemade look. Some things that can help not necessarily required, but templates, right? This is a string spacer template. You can get this from MGB. Getty sells them as well. You can probably get something like that from StewMac. This is a bridge placement template, right? I've so far only seen these at MGB, but bridge placement templates will help you, depending on like what scale neck you're working with, though, they can help you make sure that you get your bridge lined up and placed at the appropriate length. And then a headstock template. So this particular one, I like it because not only does it allow me, maybe I've got a little bit wider piece of wood and I want to trim it up a little bit. So now it lets me trace and draw a nice little headstock. But then the holes here, I don't know if you can see them, the holes actually help me get where my tuners need to line up at, right? So those are just some helpful pieces. You can get little cover pieces like this. Maybe you're going to drill an access hole in the back of the box because it's an electric guitar, but you don't want this hole in the back of your box. So get you a little something like this. You can get little discs at little like 1/4-inch disc, 3/8-inch disc at the craft stores, and make little cover plates out of them. But you're saying, okay, so in terms of materials, that's great, but what kind of tools do I need? Well, as far as tools go, you're going to need some saws. Now, this coping saw here can help. You can actually do a few things with it. It can kind of allow you to maybe you've got a thicker piece of wood, right? Like maybe you couldn't find a 1/2-inch thick piece of wood at Home Depot, so you just had to settle for getting a 3/4. Well, you can take and actually kind of figure out where you want your headstock to go on this, cut down, and it'll allow you to cut out and thin this piece of wood down, right? Another type of saw that I use real common is a flush cut saw. This particular one's an Irwin. It's a fine curved saw. It allows me, when I'm cutting my boards down, it allows me to get real close, real flush. I find that those actually work best when I'm cutting notches in the box to run the neck through. You're going to want a hammer. This little fret hammer here is great because it's got the rubber side, which is softer. So when I'm hammering frets in, I don't necessarily want a hard surface striking those frets. So I take a little block of wood and I kind of tap with the fret also. If you're using tuners that are like the 3 on the plank or the open geared tuners where you've got the little I call it a grommet that goes in the hole, and then you put the tuner up through that. Sometimes those little grommets or those little ferrules will want to they won't want to just press in. So a little hammer like this, you can kind of tap that in without damaging it. But if you need to get a little bit more tough love, these hammers also have this harder side to it to allow you to get a little bit more force, so to speak. If you're going to fret the instrument, you will need some fret pliers, which these are cool because I can not only pull old frets up, but I can cut the ends off of frets as soon as I tap the fret wire into the board. If you don't necessarily have to get fret wire specific cutters. You can go to the hardware store and you can get wire cutters. Just make sure that they're flush cut. That way you can get in close. Regardless of what you're building, you want some kind of a tuner, right? So these little clip-on tuners work great, but you can also download apps on your cell phone. Um, there are others tuners out there you can get that are a little bit more expensive that don't clip onto the headstock. If you're electrifying the instrument, you're going to need some wire cutters or wire strippers. And you're going to need some kind of a soldering gun, or yeah, a soldering wand like this. This is nice. I can control the temperature. Obviously, you'll need a little rosin for it. You may, if you're into it, decoration wise, a little wood burner like this. Get you some different tips, letters, numbers, shapes, and whatnot. You can wood burn different things into the headstock or the neck, or sometimes I'll wood burn my fret markers. I'll wood burn my logo. Let's see, what else? Okay, regardless of what you're building, you're going to need a socket. This here is a 10 millimeter. It's a deep well. I find that it lets me get those nuts on the tuners real good because this gets down over the post on the tuner. Also helps if I'm mounting pots onto the guitar. I can get down over the stem on that pot and tighten that nut down real good. Little 10 millimeter wrench. I like this one. This one's a ratcheting wrench. It's real cool. So that means I can do what I've got to do without having to break contact with the nut. And then you're going to need some screwdrivers. I like these screwdrivers here that have the multiple bits with them, because then I can just pick what bit that I need. I usually use a Phillips 1 and a Phillips 2. Are really about the common ones that you'll need. You're also going to want some flat. My grandpa taught me to call them flatheads, but screwdrivers like this, these straight edge. And then you're going to need a drill. You're going to have to drill a hole somewhere. So a drill like this with multiple bits, I usually use like 1/16. And then a couple other sizes I like to use real quick. Let's see, a 1/16, usually a 5/64, a 3/32. But yeah, and then I don't have it up here, but a hole saw bit, and Forstner bits are also good to have with your drill. And then little nippers like this to cut your guitar strings with, although if you don't have something like this, fingernail clippers will do it. And a tuning fork is good as well. This helps you, especially when you're testing out your pickups before you close everything up, put your strings on. You can get that tuning fork going, plug your plug the wiring harness into your amp, get the tuning fork going, and then run this over where the pickup is, and you'll know if you're getting a tone or not. Files and rasps, these are must-have as well. And then a good to have, if you're doing a hanger bolt driver. So you drill your hole into you drill a small hole into the heel of the neck, put this on there, and then you can use this, actually take one of these screwdrivers here, and now you can secure that hanger bolt up into the neck. You're going to want some pliers as well. But yeah, now this list is not all inclusive, and Some of it you're thinking, okay, what in the world am I going to use that for? Well, we'll talk more about these things as we go through future videos. But I just kind of wanted to just kind of throw some things out there at you, things that you might want to have. Many of these things you probably already got. A lot of these are just kind of common tools, right? Again, that kind of gets back to the spirit of building these instruments is kind of use what you have. Strings, I meant to tell you a little something funny. So people have used actually baling wire, the wire like off an old straw broom, the wire that secures the straw to the handle. People have used wires out of screen doors. There's even a story of a guy who went out and pulled a few hairs out of his horse's tail. Right? I don't necessarily recommend that. I don't think a horse liked it pretty that well, but hey, I mean, there's different things you can do. Like I said, this is not all inclusive, but I hope that you at least learn a little something. Please feel free to leave a comment, ask a question, or if you think of something, right? Hey, leave it in the comments, right? Because I know I ain't thought of everything. But anyway, give me a like, give me a subscribe, leave a comment, and thank you for your time. We'll see you on the flip side.